Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Elroy Vaz, your Sergeant at Arms for this meeting. I will just briefly read the mission to reinforce what we are all here for. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop their communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I will now read the leadership statement. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has a virtual hand raised, so we all can immediately see who's keeping the time. Can you all see the timer?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Our Toastmaster of the evening. Our Toastmaster for this evening is none other than the vibrant Toastmaster Angela Brown. Please give her a round of applause. Angela Brown is from Toronto, Canada, an author, entrepreneur, and chronic illness advocate. She's been a Toastmaster for almost 3 years, and during the first year, she completed one pathway. She's currently working on a third one and towards her DTM. She is at present president of Discovery Toastmasters Club, a club coach, an area director for F11, and a Rotarian. And most importantly, a member of our Leadership Speak Toastmasters Club. For the past 2 years, she's been the president of the Scarborough Twilight Rotary Club. Over to you, Toastmaster Angela, and all the best for today's proceedings. May I welcome Toastmaster Angela Brown.
Thank you, Elroy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. As a Toastmaster who wears many hats as an area director, a club coach, and a club president, in these diverse roles, the unique adaptive leadership has shaped my approach and responses in unique and vital ways. First, as an area director, I oversee many clubs. If there is a need for members, their meeting needs problems with the meetings, as an adaptive leader, I allowed my best to assist each club in the way what works best for them. Therefore, when unexpected challenges arises in clubs, such as loss of important leadership, adaptive leader has crucial and problem solving. It enables me to adjust swiftly and find solutions, whether it's organizing a workshop or offering personal support. Being an active leader means resolving and unexpected issues. Secondly, in my role of club president, being an adaptive leader, I allow everyone to have a say in the decisions. I want everyone to know that they're important and their voice is important. When the club wants to do something new, we focus on fostering an environment where all members can share ideas. This helps everyone to feel involved and new ideas are more successful. Moving on, let's discuss my role as club coach. Essentially, a club coach is like a hands-on leader. When assigned to struggling clubs, I step into the mix. I adjust the club's specific challenges, provide guidance and strategies to bring it liveliness. As a Toastmaster, in a lively setting and our meetings, being adaptive goes beyond a plan. It's an art. When roles change, unexpected surprises become common. The adaptive leader takes charge and resolves problems quickly. In summary, My journey as an adaptive leader has uncovered the skills of adjusting approaches, the strength of making decisions together, the joy of vision goals, and the knack for each meeting being captivating. I'd like to leave you with this quote. Exercising adaptive leadership is about giving meaning to your life beyond your own ambitions. Thank you. Now, let's start the meeting. First, we'll have a toast. The toast today will be given by Baron Omachu. Baron says, as a new team leader, I utilize my adaptive quotient to embrace change, actively sought feedback from staff, and focus as a building trust, improving relationships, and adding value to the team. Let's call on Baron for our toast.
Esteemed Toastmasters and guests, it's a wonderful evening, morning, and afternoon, depending on where you are joining me from. It is wonderful because today we get to celebrate what binds us and what propels us as leadership speak. And that is adaptive leadership. It is well known to all of us that the only constant thing in the world we are living in, and that is not 2023, but for time immemorial, the only constant is change. We as leaders often have to think on our feet, to act on our feet, more often than not, taking action without all the information in our hands. Why do we do this? Because we are adaptive leaders. I would like for all of us to understand that adaptive leadership is not just about managing change. No, not just about managing change. It is about us thriving in change. It goes a step further. If we want to be leaders who are ahead of the curve and not leaders who are waiting to be told what to do, which is a concept that is embodied right under the name Leadership Speak. Whenever there's a logo here and the name here below, it says we are a premier club for self-directed leaders. What do self-directed leaders do? They adapt. Look at the circumstances around you and figure out how to go with it. With every speech, with every meeting, with every interaction in Leadership Speak, members are urged to be adaptive. When we have a meeting and one of the members is not showing up, somebody takes it on. But beyond that, in our communities, we ensure that we are the ones building leaders. And not only are we building leaders, we are building leaders who take action. The key word in leadership is lead. Leading requires you to be at the front of the line. While at the front of the line, you will not always know what is coming your way. It is very important for us to celebrate the fact that we are in that position, that we get to lead, we get to be adaptive leaders. Toastmasters and guests, if you don't have a glass in your hand, you might have to put up your palm like this, but I believe we all have glasses in our hands. Let's raise our glasses and take a sip to adaptive leadership.
Adaptive leadership.
Adaptive leadership.
Adaptive leadership.
Adaptive leadership.
Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baron, for that wonderful toast. We're going to move on to Claudette Thomas, our grammarian. Our timer, sorry. Claudette, please, can you tell us about your timer role?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
I'll show the times according to the agenda, and I'll be using the following backgrounds: green, yellow, and red. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudette. Now we call Daniel Odero, who is the grammarian. Daniel said, in my early restaurant career abroad as a young leader, I earned credibility by actively demonstrating tasks and guiding staff. Byron, let's hear your word of the day and explain the grammarian role.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My role today as a grammarian is to pay close attention to the use of language by all speakers and their quotes and make a report at the end of the meeting. My other role is to also introduce the word of the day. The word of the day for today is attune, which is in line with our theme. The meaning of attune is to make receptive or aware. Attune is the word of the day, make receptive or aware. Some examples: a society more attuned to consumerism than ideology. Or further, students are not attuned to making decisions. I urge all speakers to make use of the word of the day, and I'll give a report when called upon at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Angela.
Thank you. Let's all attune to the meeting today, and let's all have a wonderful time. Next, while we call on our education speaker, you must know that our education speaker has done a lot of research on the theme, and we'll be elaborating further on the theme. Can we please spotlight our speaker? Vinod, when asked why he did this speech, he learned in 2014 about adaptive leadership, and he's been promoting the concepts of adaptive leadership ever since. About his speech: in a globalized world, cultural intelligence is crucial for navigating diverse relationships effectively. Daniel's speech is on pathways, effective coaching, prepared to speak professionally. The title of his speech is Understanding Cultural Dimensions. So let's welcome Vinod with Understanding Cultural Dimensions, Understanding Cultural Dimensions, Vinod Pajan. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the evening or Toastmasters of the day. Now, to all the guest audience and members, I have a few questions to you, and I would like answers from you quickly. Just type it in the chat. How many of you have heard the word emotional intelligence? Just type it in the chat, me, M-E. M-E, okay, let me see that. Fine, great. How many of you have heard the word personal intelligence? Personal intelligence. How many of you have heard the word social intelligence? I can still see a lot of them typing me. Very good, amazing. How many of you have heard the word cultural intelligence? Okay, so I am in a good hand. Amazing. So what happened in 2003, December 2nd, I landed in this beautiful country called United Arab Emirates. Almost 20 years now. This country is resides more than 200 nationalities over here. It's considered as a melting pot. But till 2014, I used to work for companies that had similar culture. They were all from India and specifically from one part of India. So even though I was staying in a place where there were 200 nationalities, Apart from my customers, my peer group and my boss and all the other people, most of them were from similar culture. So what happened when I joined a company in 2014, which had almost 25 nationalities in that company? My general manager was from Sweden. My sales manager was from Netherlands. My operation manager was from UK. My production manager was from Pakistan, and my quality head was from Bangladesh, and my entire customer service team was from Philippines. For 6 months, I felt lost in that company because I personally felt my messages were not received well by others. And that is when I did a management course and I came across this concept of organizational culture. The first day of the class, we had this amazing case study, and it went like that. An Australian company which had a branch in Philippines sent one of their superstar manager from Australia who was performing every year above average to manage the entire Asia Pacific region. She went there, and then in 3 months, people from the company started leaving their jobs. She could not understand what was happening. She was one of the topmost performer in her region. But what happened when she moved across to a different culture? Maybe she was not an adaptive leader, like today's theme. But it was at that same time that my sales manager asked me this same question. Vinod, I feel it's been 4 months. Our team has not accepted me. What is the problem? That was the question that he asked. And I was able to answer him because I had taken that class and I understood what was the problem. And I told him, you are task focused. You came from a culture where you give priority to a task, and you are managing people from a culture who prioritize relationship over task. You did not take time for making connection with us. Something which our founder Brahm always keeps telling, connect with the members of our club. He got that, and after that, every week we started having meetings where we discussed about our personal life. And the same thing had happened with that Australian manager. She got a cultural coach who helped her navigate and adapt and get attuned to the different types of culture or the culture that she was managing in. And soon she started seeing people coming back who had left. And not only that, whenever there was a vacancy in a company, she used to get a lot of CVs from the relatives from the particular team that she was managing. So when we speak about culture, we basically think about it's a very abstract thing, right? So most of us think about culture in the artifacts, the food of different cultures, the dress that people wear, or the national animal, or whatever it is. But culture is something much deeper than that. And in today's global environment and for a global leader, one of the most important things is to be culturally intelligent. And today, I will be showing you and sharing with you some of the dimensions what actually culture comprises of, or we will unpack and see what does cultural dimension or cultural intelligence means over here. Each one of us sitting over here has got a personal culture, has got a culture when they work, a work culture, and has got a national culture when you travel. It's an amalgamation. And our personal culture was formed when we were too young. Most of us, 18 plus countries in this particular club, right? We might have born somewhere, we might have studied somewhere, we might be working somewhere, and we might be residing in some different place today. And in everyday life, we come and interact with a lot of people from different culture. So basically, what is a culture? I will give you a very technical definition of culture from someone called as Gert Hofstadter. What he said was, culture is simply collective programming of a mind, which distinguishes one group from another. But let me simplify it, what it means to me. To me, culture is like a lens through which I see the world. Or culture is a backpack that I carry with me wherever I go in the world. So, my dear friends, wherever we are going, the culture stays with us. Now let us understand the dimensions of culture. So these are some of the I will be sharing with you two basic research, which I have personally found very useful when I was doing my management studies. And I'm not going to go deeper into this, but this is one model of Edgar Schein. Anybody who ever studies about culture will always learn about Edgar Schein, organizational culture, and Gert Hofstadter's national culture. So what it says is, it's like a triangle, and the above level is always like an iceberg. You only see the artifacts, the food, the clothing, the normal behaviors. The deeper level is the values of that particular culture. And the much deeper level, which we usually do not see, are the assumptions. What is the assumption in this particular culture? And this was particularly made for organizations. As a leadership speak, a Toastmasters club, which is supposed to run like an enterprise, because we interact with a lot of people across the globe, I feel this would be very helpful for us the next time we are interacting with someone. But I would like to spend some time over here. This was something that literally shook me off and made me understand actually what are the cultural dimensions. Dear friends, there are more than 12 cultural dimensions today. This is Gert Hofstadter's model. There is models of von Trompinas, and there are other models also. But this was one of the major and first publication that was published on cultural dimensions. And you study anywhere about culture or cultural intelligence, everybody will speak about this. And so I consider this as a base. And once we get this, we will start adapting to other cultures in a better way and get attuned to them. So let me first take the power distance. Okay, so I will quickly go through all of them, and in your own mind, think about your own culture. What does power distance mean over here? So there are cultures where there are very high power distance, and there are cultures where the power distance is very low. And what does it mean? For example, in Asia and Middle East, in this part of the world, if you enter an office, entering the office and looking here and there on right and left, you can immediately say who is the boss or who is the manager over there. Because the room of the boss or the manager would be the biggest over there. Hierarchies are taken very seriously in power distance, where the power distance is high. In lower power distance countries, Scandinavian countries, you walk into a room and there are 20 people sitting over there, it would be very difficult for you to tell who is the boss in them, because they see the society as flat and they don't believe in these hierarchies. So if you are someone, a leader who is from a low power index society culture and talking to someone from a high power culture, power distance index culture, what should you attune to? How should you adjust your behavior with them if you are doing business with them? Think of this. Even today, 75% of the mergers and acquisitions across the world are failures. And if you dig deeper into those, why are these companies who are multinational, having a lot of money, failing in other part of the world? Just look at them. The root cause would be they were not able to mix culturally. They did not attune culturally well, and they did not understand the culture of that particular company. And that was one of the main reasons. So power distance over here also means your emotional relationship with the people in the hierarchy. And if you want to take it to the personal level, think about your relationship with your parents or your teachers. In a high power index society, you will listen to them. Whatever they say, you feel that is right. There will be less of questioning over there. Right? So this is what, so think of your own culture. From where did you come? If you are working in a hierarchical structure, how do you look at the hierarchy? So for example, when I used to call my operation manager, sir, he used to tell me, don't call me sir, call my name. But if you do the same thing with someone who is from high power index, they may feel offended. So be mindful of what type of culture this particular person or the people with whom you are dealing are. The second is individualism versus collectivism. Now, collectivism, again, I will give you an example of our own culture, Asian culture or Middle East culture. It is like be in the group. Do not go outside. They say that the nail that sticks out gets hammered. So from childhood, what is taught to us is be fit in the group. Do not go outside the group or do things that are unconventional. But in the individualistic society, you are taught to raise your voice for your concerns. If you need something, hey, I need this. I personally cannot raise my voice even today if I go to a restaurant and call a waiter that I need this food. I will wait very patiently till that person comes there. But same time, I have friends, as soon as they sit, they will immediately, hello, can you please come here? And I am like, how can you do that? It comes naturally to them. The collective society tries to be protective of you. They give you guidelines that this is what you should do. The individualistic society is more of empowering you to do that. Whatever you feel right, just go and do it. Again, there is no right and wrong in any type of dimensions. It is just how it is. The third is uncertainty avoidance index. If you actually check the individualistic and collectivism and the uncertainty and certainty index are somewhat related. How? Because when you see cultures that encourages risk-taking are more individualistic, and cultures who are not encouraging risk-taking. For example, when I was growing up, I only had 3 options or career. The first is services. So my father said, you join services, that is, you serve the country, military, navy, army. That is the one section. The second section is doctor. And the third section is engineer. If you can't do any of this, do anything, just earn money. That was what my parents said at that time. But because they want to be certain and they know that these careers will give you good returns, at least monetarily or emotionally, if you join the services. So uncertainty avoidance, if you are dealing with someone in our club, the XCOM, where there are cultures where they don't say no. For example, if you ask someone, will you do this? It is very difficult for cultures to say, some cultures to say no over there, right? So we need to understand the context about that, the verbal and non-verbal language over there. Apart from that, I have masculinity, Just let me, okay. Masculinity versus femininity. Now, this does not mean male or female. This research was done in 1960s, and his intention was not to be gender-based or racist. What he meant by this masculinity versus femininity is a culture where masculinity means being more assertive, being more dominant. If you want something, stand up and say that you need this. Femininity is basically more of caring and more of adjusting. Okay, so if you go to, again, Scandinavian countries are considered more in that particular feminine culture, whereas US culture would be more masculine, right? They are more aggressive, that we need this immediately. The other one would be long-term orientation versus short-term orientation. Now here again, this is about thinking of long term. So when you think of long term, the cultures that think in long term usually are a little bit frugal. They always feel that tomorrow is better than today. The Disneyland concept, tomorrow is better than today, and they are saving for tomorrow, or they are thinking of 10 years or 20 years. But in the short term culture, what happens is live for today, or make a short plan of 1 year or 3 years and be all in that. And the last one is indulgence versus restraint. A culture where people, like what you say, no, restraint is being more mindful. That means you are focused internally and you take care of your own self. You have this delayed gratification attitude that whatever I want, I can get it later. Let me have restraint and control of my mind and body. The indulgence is the Gen Z, what we can see, work hard, party hard, and all this thing. It's more of indulging into a lot of things. Now, I know this may be a lot of technical things to understand, but now let's step back and look at all the 6 dimensions once again. And from your own thinking, start thinking which culture or which dimensions, if you want to score from 0 to 10, is higher or lower. It is not a binary absolute thing that either you are on a higher power index or on a lower power index. It would be somewhere in between or somewhere little bit tilted to one side. Which one were you brought up in? Or if you are currently working, how is your organization culture? Is it hierarchical? Or do they empower individuals or believe in collective shared values? Do you take risk? Are you assertive or taking collaborative decisions? Do you think of long term? Do you think of short term? Right? Or are you being mindful? Just think about it quietly for some time. Now, once you understand these dimensions, what is cultural intelligence? This is what I would like to share with you. Now, this research is some 30 years old, not 40 years old, by David Livermore. He was born in Canada. He has done all his studies in US. The cultural theory itself goes hundreds years old, like from Edgar Schein to Gert Hofstede. But this is something which is new and related to work. It is basically what does cultural intelligence means is your ability to work effectively in a multicultural environment. So when you are working with any people from different culture, what are the 4 skills that are required? And this is what, and this actually can be measured, these all 4 skills. That is your drive, your knowledge, your strategy, and your action. And what does this mean? Your drive, basically, if you want to develop your cultural intelligence, which is what I would be requesting our club, which was charted on 17th February 2022. Today, we have 50 members on board, plus 18 plus countries. Imagine the power that we have to develop these skills. And what I am telling or want you all to do together with each one of us is not just to look at the articles and look at the upper layer. Let's go deep dive into each other's culture, understand each other's culture. So the four qualities or the four, like what you say, components of cultural intelligence are, first is drive. Okay. Are you intrinsically driven or extrinsically driven? We can actually check this. Second is the knowledge about the culture or the people with whom you are going to work. Third is what is the strategy that you are going to have. And fourth is the action that you would like to take. And I would like to challenge each and every member sitting over here. Let's start working on this. Not only just speaking about leadership in an abstract sense, not only being a proactive leader by being a self-directed leader, let's become culturally intelligent. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, thank you, Vinod, for that wonderful speech. We learned a lot from your speech about cultural intelligence. So we thank you so much. We move on to our next speaker, which would be Carine Baptiste. I'd like to ask her evaluator, Clemens Kambubu, to introduce her speech and about the path and the time.
Good day, everybody. I have the pleasure to evaluate Carine. Carine is presenting a second speech in the project Evaluation and Feedback. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice applying feedback and serve as a speech evaluator during a club meeting. The members to demonstrate their ability to deliver an effective, respectful speech from an evaluated speech. This is a second speech, which means she presented a speech and it was evaluated, and she's now applying that feedback. The member has pointed out to me that she would like me to focus on the Zoom presence, the connection with the audience, as well as the vocal variety. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Clemens. Our next speaker is Carine Baptiste. Carine has told me that she experienced adaptive leadership in her prior role. She quotes, "I honed flexocultural communication skills for each country's unique culture and codes." She is presenting a speech that is very personal to her that she will share with us. So let's introduce Carine Baptiste with her speech, Let's Be Imaginative. Let's be imaginative, Carine Baptiste.
When I was 8 years old, the teacher asked us to write a story in being imaginative and creative. Oh my gosh, I hated this exercise. I was completely blocked. I couldn't think of anything to write something. I couldn't do this exercise. In order to handing a blank page, I asked my mother her help. Instead of helping me, she wrote whole story. The teacher realized I hadn't written this story, and she asked me, "Please do again this exercise, this time without your mother's help." I was disappointed. I didn't know how to do this. My teacher didn't give me any advice any methods to write a creative story. Ask my mother, why did you write the whole story instead of help me to find a solution to be creative? She didn't reply to me, but she really wanted to help me, even if it was the best way. She decided to take me to the local library every Wednesday morning. This workshop called Tall Tales, where someone read stories to all children. My mother would leave me for 1 hour, and I could listen to the reader intently. I can imagine a whole story about dragons, fairies, magical forests, and the reader imagine about characters and also play as an actor, could dress up wearing different costumes while interacting with us. I was fascinated by the reader because he has this ability to use vocabulary, gestures, body language, and I could listen to him for hours and hours. This exercise helped me finally to write an imaginative story. Finally, I could think about a story. I decided to write. I remember it was a story about a witch who lived alone in a castle. The witch didn't have family and no friends. Why? Because the witch scared people and the people were afraid the witch. And finally, the witch has some families such as a dog, a horse, and a cat. And I continue my story. The objective is to show finally the kindness and to live in a community. I was happy for the result, and I would like to show my creative story to my teacher. Before that, my mother asked me, "Can I see your story?" I didn't know. I don't want to watch a story because I didn't want you to make changes. I was a little bit happy because I managed to do alone. I showed my work to my teacher. She read the story. She was a little bit surprised and told me, "How did you succeed in creating a whole story?" And I told her the truth. And after that, I suggested an idea. We can create a story with all students in a class. And after we can play in front of our parents. She thought about several minutes, but finally she accepted the idea. And she asked me, "You need to present your project with all students because this idea was from you. This is a new challenge. Create a story with all students in integrated dialogues." Finally, the moral of this story: if you have a difficulty, you can overcome, find a solution. And after that, once you overcome this difficulty, you can demultiply all possibilities to move forward. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Well, Carine, that was a wonderful story. All mothers out there, take note of what her mother did wrong, because I did the same thing with my daughter. Let's move on to the next speaker. It is Barbara Jarvis. We're going to call on her evaluator, Hannah Smith, to tell us about her speech.
Madam Toastmaster of the Day, it gives me great pleasure evaluating Barbara. And she speaks from dynamic leaderships and understanding your leadership style. Level 2, Project 1. The purpose of this project is for the member to identify her primary leadership style or styles. The purpose of this speak is for the member to share some aspects of her primary leadership style or discuss leadership in general. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Hannah. When I asked Barbara the question to give us an example of adaptive leadership, she said, I served in many organizations as a leader and worked on my committee to arrive at consensus when making decisions. And title of Barbara's speech is Understanding Your Leadership Style. Let's welcome Barbara Jarvis, Understanding Your Leadership Style. Sorry, Barbara, I think you're muted.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters all over the world. Kent Julian wrote, a good leader has the ability to know which leadership styles are positive and which are not. Leadership is a crucial aspect of any organization or group, as it sets the tone and direction for achieving the goals. However, there are various types of leadership styles that individuals can adopt, each with its own unique characteristics and effects on the team. One common leadership style is autocratic leadership. This style, leaders make decisions without consulting with their team members. They have complete control over the decisions-making process and expect strict adherence to their instructions. While this style may be effective in situations where quick decisions need be without dealing with any inexperienced or team members, it can lead to a very low morale and lack of creativity among team members. On the other hand, democratic leadership involving team members in decision-making process. Leaders encourage an open communication and value input from their team members. This style fosters collaboration and creativity within the team, but can sometimes lead to a slower decision-making due to extensive discussions. Another type of leadership style is transformational leadership. This style focuses on inspiring and motivating followers by setting high expectations and providing support for personal growth. Now, transformational leaderships are charismatic individuals who inspire their teams through visions and passion. In contrast to the transactional leadership, it relies on rewards and punishments to motivate followers. Leaders set clear expectations for performance and provide rewards or consequences based on meeting these expectations. Now, there's also laissez-faire leadership, where leaders take hands-off approach by allowing employees to make decisions independently. Now, this style works best when dealing with high-skilled individuals who require minimal supervision, but can lead to lack of direction if not managed properly. Leadership is a skill that can be honed and developed through various styles. One leadership style that has left a profound impact on me is servant leadership. This experience not only transformed my perspective on leadership, but also inspired me to adopt this approach in my own life. At my workplace of employment for 39 years at Andrew Insurances, I had the privilege of working under leader until his retirement in 2018, who has recently passed away, God rest his soul. He embodied principles of servant leadership instead of asserting authority. This leader focused on empowering and serving his team members. He actively listened to our concerns and provided guidance and encouraged us to reach our full potential. His humility and genuine care for each team member fostered an environment of trust and collaboration. Rest in peace, my dear Mr. Watkins. In this experience, it has taught me true leadership prioritizes the growth and well-being of their followers above personal gain or recognition. By placing others' needs first and creating an atmosphere where individuals feel valued, motivated, and empowered to contribute their best efforts. Servant leadership also encourage open communication and inclusivity. This leadership style sought feedback from team members, fostering an environment where everyone's voice was heard and respected. This collaborative approach not only enhanced problem solving, but also promoted creativity within the team. Furthermore, this type of leadership instilled a sense of purpose in me by emphasizing the importance of serving others beyond my immediate work responsibilities. Now, being the credit control manager in my department, my team members were encouraged to engage in a community service initiative as a team, such as giving of their time in assisting Rotary Club of Antigua with a package of grocery bags for the less fortunate, which not only strengthened our bond, but also allowed us to make a positive impact outside of the workplace. I train new staff in the job on proper protocol and ethics of the job, and about the many privileges that the policies that we offer within our company. Now, the feedback given from customers is a testimony that we stand out from the rest of the other companies through our service. In conclusion, my experience with servant leadership has shown me the transformative power it holds in creating effective teams and nurturing individuals' growth. By prioritizing service over authority, leaders can inspire loyalty, trust, and collaboration among all their followers. Different types of leadership styles exist, even with its own advantages and disadvantages, depending on the situation at hand. I am convinced that adopting this style will not only benefit organizations, but also contribute positively to society as a whole. Back over to you, Madam Toastmaster, for today.
Thank you, Barbara, for that wonderful speech. You are correct. Servant leadership is very important in every leadership role. We will move on to our third speaker, Sabnam Saiyed, who will call on her evaluator, Ashwani Arankar, to tell us about her speech.
Angela, Ashwani is not there. I think somebody has to check.
Okay. Sanab's speech is from Presentation Mastery. Number 1, writing a speech with a purpose. Let's welcome Sabnam Saiyed. Her title in her speech is Acknowledge. Acknowledge Sabnam Saiyed.
Are we all the same? President, fellow Toastmasters and guests, good morning, afternoon, or evening. Can anyone tell me different types of emotions? Anyone? In chat, you can just write on. Yes, of course. Anger, love, happiness, sorrow, etc., are all emotions. But what leads us to these? Specifically, when you're meeting new people, what exactly happens when you meet new people? How do these emotions come up? Do they come up immediately or do they take time to manifest? As soon as we meet someone for the first time, we immediately either associate with that person or disassociate with them. Let me explain to you. Suppose if I'm attending a party where I meet Miss X and Miss Y. Now, one of them, say Miss X, has more in common with me. She likes the same kind of food. She's from the same place that I come from. She likes the same hero that I like. She likes the same kind of movies, web series, this, that, everything. And Miss Y here, oh my God, she and I do not have anything in common. So that means she doesn't have anything in common with Miss X as well, right? So in this scenario, it is very natural for me to be more associated, to feel more connected with Miss X than with Miss Y, right? We may or may not have too much to discuss with Miss Y. Now, let me ask you one small question here. Did everyone listen to my last sentence carefully? I said, we. In just explaining the scenario, I made a team with Miss X and I became we. And Miss Y is still standing there to chat with me, maybe. So, up until this point, it is completely all right because not everyone is the same. Everyone comes from different places, different cultures, different ethnicities. So, we may or may not have in common a lot of things with other people. So it is all right, right? Up until this point, there is no problem. But after this, the way I behave with Miss Y, the way Miss X behaves with Miss Y, might change this disconnect into discrimination. It often happens so naturally without even one being aware of it. But the effect it will have on the person in front of me will be long lasting. Not only that, but I will also lose a chance here to understand, know a completely new culture, or a completely new human being, a completely new phenomena. I will lose a chance to learn so much more. Now, has it ever happened with any of you all? I am sure it has. We all belong to one human race. Human race is vibrant in nature with different languages, skin colors, dialects, languages, ideological inclinations. So it is very natural to connect with some and disconnect with the rest. Hence, it becomes prudent to not let this association or disconnect become discrimination. The key here is to never ever stop learning. Curiosity with understanding that differences are natural will allow the gap to dissolve. The mere sense of acknowledgement, yes, we are different, helps. The following things have helped me personally, like asking the right questions. We ask a lot of questions, but are they right is very important. Secondly, if I am confused, rather than assuming the facts, I ask if I am right or wrong. Secondly, being humble about the differences. Thirdly, allowing the same benefit of doubt to the person, just as the person is different to me, I might also be different to that person. Your Miss X is thinking, oh my God, why are they talking so much? Why do they like movies? Why do they like that particular hero? Even she might be thinking that. Acknowledging the difference before commenting. The moment you open your mouth and comment, that immediately has an effect on some other person. So understanding that words have effect. The moment we all acknowledge the fact that yes, we are all different but the same, this problem can be uprooted. The world is becoming a global village. With constant connectivity and social media, it becomes even more important and pertinent that we take care of these things. We are all equal in the fact that we are all different. So acknowledge and embrace diversity. Over to you.
Thank you, Sabnam, for that speech. We was definitely should embrace cultural diversity. Our next speaker is Rozy Rana, and I'd like to call on her evaluator, Afton Gendre, to tell us about her path of her speech.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Greetings to all. Today, I have the pleasure of evaluating Toastmaster Rozy. The purpose of her speech is for her to determine her style of humor and apply it to a speech that centers around a central message. Her objective of the speech is to deliver a speech on the lighter side of things. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Afton. Rozy's Rana's, I asked her the question to give us example of adaptive leadership. She said, as MD of Dormans during the COVID-19 shutdown, I retrained our hospitality staff for informal sector sales, ensuring a smooth transition and preventing layoffs throughout the pandemic. So the title of Rozy Rana's speech is Attitude is Better Than Altitude. Rozy Rana, attitude is better than altitude.
Told people should not tell told tales. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you 4 feet 11 inches. I can see you look at me with disbelief. If you are trying to measure the distance between my head and the ceiling, allow me to unveil a secret just among the 36 of us. It is about the superpower of technology, one that is not sold because technology is generally oversold. That is angling the camera to portray a taller figure than I really am. Honestly, online meetings make things so much easier because in the real world, it is a struggle, trust me. Rain or shine, you will never catch me without my 6-inch high heels. Yes, they are my constant companions, whether in the office or even at the beach. Yes, you heard me. They literally elevate me, my spirit, and my confidence. I cannot even enjoy a vacation without my companions, my heels. Dear friends, over time, I have learned to get attuned to my height, or perhaps, as you may say, lack of it. As I have navigated through life, there have been some delightful moments and let's just say some challenges. Today, I share some and I want that my experiences should serve as a beacon of hope to any fellow vertically challenged individuals, VCI. I grew up in a village. In the village, the gregarious folks always look to get together. You know, Vinod talked about collective cultures. Well, we get together and they never miss an opportunity for photographs. Now, Guess who gets to stand in front for a group photo? Yes, the shortest. I really used to feel like a very important person. So my VCI truly made me VIP. Now, again, still in the village though, if you ever visited me, you would have seen that I could not reach the upper shelves. I had to climb on a step stool or a ladder. It was always a struggle. Then one day, I read John Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Have you read this book? I recommend you read it if you haven't. It is full of wisdom. President Asif can tell you as a John Maxwell coach. Maxwell's guidance for me was a game changer. This is what he said. If you have a trait, or if there is a trait you do not have, but you desire to have, recruit others who may have it into your inner circle. I embrace this wholeheartedly. I thus identified a 6-foot tall man to be my life partner. Yes, Carine and I have been married for 27 years. We complement each other. Our height differences are a constant source of amusement to others, but to us, a validation that just like magnets, opposites can attract. Another area we complement each other is food. I love to eat. He loves to cook. A match that has been made in culinary heaven. Now, some people have been telling me that he's losing some hair in his middle. I think they must be jealous. They must be truly jealous because we are a perfect pair. Today, I have my personal shelf reacher at my beck and call 24/7. You may ask, what's in it for him? Well, let me tell you this. I no longer squander money on step stools or ladders. Now, speaking of ladders, allow me to take you to my corporate background and the ladder there. I joined Omens in 1992, and 20 years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears saw me climb the rungs of the ladder from PA to admin manager to HR assistant to HR director, COO, and CFO. At that stage, I knew I had reached the pinnacle. I continued working hard and then began feeling a little dejected and depressed because I just couldn't grow anymore. And there were multiple things I was saying to myself. For instance, I'm thinking to myself, you're a woman, I mean, surely you can't expect to climb any higher. Your culture, you're from the village. Surely you must make time. You should have learned that you make time to be home with your husband and children. You're already too busy. And the last thought, you are a midget. You are so short. Even Gallup research has shown us that 60% of CEOs and MDs are taller than the average height. I was so down that I had to take a sabbatical to keep my sanity. 1 month into my sabbatical, my chairman and boss sought me out. And this is what he said. There's a vacancy for a managing director of our roasting division. You, Rozy, would be perfect for the job. Was he speaking to me? He was. And today I stand before you as a minority midget managing director of a company. And my job is to delight your taste buds with delicious coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, if my experience is anything to go by, then the height you have should not be attuned to the height you strive to reach. And to cut a tall story short, everyone can add value. Identify your uniqueness, embrace it, and add value to the world, because it is not the inches you have, it is the impact that you make in life. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Rosie, for that speech. I can certainly attune to your to what you're saying, because I'm 4'10" and I married somebody that was 5'9". So I definitely understand. Our next speaker will be Nina John. I will call on her evaluator, Deborah Walker, to tell us about her speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Nina John is doing Team Collaboration, Level 4, Project 1, Motivate Others. The purpose of this project is to deliver a speech about the experience of building a team to help create and complete a project to benefit the club and developing motivational strategies for each team member. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Our next speaker, Nina John. Her example of adaptive leadership, she had to adapt this project from a macro to a micro to a macro level club or district. She's also served as a member pool chair for District 120 training club members. Let's welcome Nina John. The title of her speech, Want to be a Mentor. Want to be a mentor, Nina John.
Want to be a mentor? The answer everyone has, of course, is yes. It's so good to be a mentor, a philosopher, a guide, somebody who delivers advice from above and says, okay, I have been in Toastmasters for so many years. This is the way we do things in our club. You are a newbie and you had better fall in line. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. We had a crisis in District 120 because we had a lot of people leaving either because of the pandemic or for other reasons. So our club membership shrank. We did not have enough seasoned members to guide the new lot. So I asked my club members, would you like to be a mentor? And a lot of them said yes, around 10 of them to be precise. So we set up a mentor training team in our club. Every week we met over Zoom. And the first meeting we had was a brainstorming meeting. What is a mentor? Is it enough to say you've been in Toastmasters and therefore, because you've been here for so many years, you know what's happening, you're attuned to the current events, you think you know everything? And then we discovered during that brainstorming, maybe there are qualities of a mentor and maybe there are qualifications to being a mentor. What are they? And if you look at it, the first quality that all of us as Toastmasters, dedicated, committed Toastmasters share is an attitude of caring, sharing, and being ambassadors for Toastmasters. I think that's true of all of us. But is that enough? So what we did was we broke down into smaller bites, so to speak, what exactly should a mentor be doing? So each week we assigned to each member of the team a different topic based on the kind of questions a newcomer asks. What is pathways? What path should I choose? Which is the path for me? So the first thing a mentor needs to know, what are the different paths? How does it help you in your personal and professional life? Because each individual differs. The other is when they come into the club and the club meetings. What are the roles and responsibilities of the art counter, the grammarian, the Toastmaster of the day? How is a club meeting run? And if you're talking about club meetings, what is this weird XCOM business? Why do some people have titles like president and VP, PE sounding very, very important? What are they supposed to be doing? So the mentor should know what are the roles during a club meeting, what does the XCOM do, and how can I encourage my mentees or proteges to participate in every meeting and become part of the Toastmasters Club. And that's the most important part about being a mentor. Are you nurturing your proteges? Are you helping them to grow? Are you helping them to achieve the personal goal for which they entered Toastmasters and take a longer, far-sighted vision of where they want to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now? How can we help them? So the mentor had also better be prepared about their own questions and their own capabilities. What happens after the club? If an XCOM is elected, how about an area director or a division director or a district director and this very remote, faraway thing called the International Board of Directors? At some stage, we need to tell our members, what is the club constitution? How is the Toastmasters international hierarchy created? And how do you get into all the different positions? These are the things in terms of just facts or domain knowledge that the mentor should have. But we're also talking about not just knowledge, but skills. And what are the skills that a mentor should be imparting? Listening skills, very important. Speech skills, writing a speech, drafting it, delivering it, stage, space, everything in that whole bundle of skills that is covered in that one package. The skill of evaluation, the skill of giving feedback. All of these have to be imparted by the mentor. And very often, if they don't do this consciously, we are just simply absorbing it as members of Toastmasters. But we need to see how can we do this separately. So in our team, when each member gave a separate presentation on contest management or the Toastmaster hierarchy or any of these things, they started learning so much more by going into depth. Simultaneously, they also took up the Pathways Mentor Badge project, which is a separate one from the Pathways. I'm very happy to report that out of the 10 people, 3 have now gone on to become area directors, simply because of the foundation that was laid during that mentorship program. Some of the others, of course, stayed put. They're happy being just mentors. They're all members of the club. And that's what they're really looking at. But as a team, we had a great amount of fun and we learned so much from each other because every member participated in those presentation programs. Each one took up a different responsibility and each one found their own strengths. For example, some mentors said, I would prefer mentoring in terms of leadership. Some said, I would prefer in terms of contests and speech training. So each one discovered what their strengths were, and as a result of the collaboration, they became better Toastmasters. And that, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, is what I mean by asking. You want to be a Toastmaster? You want to be a mentor? Buckle up, belt up, and get ready for the ride. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Nina, for that speech. Yes, you definitely showed us how to be a mentor. Having 3 people go on to area director, I'm impressed. As we come to our final speaker, Daniel Odero, I will call on his evaluator, Marcella St. Omer to tell us about his speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, everyone, or good day, everyone. Today, Toastmaster Daniel Odero will present a 5 to 7 minute speech from the PATH Presentation Mastery, Level 2, Project 1, Effective Body Language. The title of his speech, Sceptic to a Believer. The purpose of his speech project is for the member to lend itself to expression through movement and gestures. He will deliver a speech containing and practiced and refined nonverbal communication. The member would like me to look out for effective use of his gestures and the opening and closing of his speech. Let us welcome Toastmaster Daniel Omindi Odero to the lectern. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Daniel Odero. To introduce his speech, he said, life demands either adaptation or consequences when our once believed truths crumble, urging us to embrace change or linger in ignorance as the world progresses. The title of his speech is From Skeptic to a Believer. Daniel Odero, From Skeptic to Believer.
It's been about 27 years when I first came across a company that was talking about food supplements. Now, I live in a part of the world where we have fresh fruits and vegetables growing very close to where we are. It's not a problem. We don't have too much food processing. At that time, this was the case. So when somebody mentioned having a vitamin C tablet, my mind was attuned to knowing if I wanted vitamin C, I would get it from a fruit or some vegetables, yes. So why in heaven's name would I go and swallow something to give me the vitamins that I can so easily get? Fellow Toastmasters, skeptics, and friends, this is what I had thought, and my mind was clear thought, and this was just maybe what we called, in our part of the world, we call them wazungus, the whites, the Caucasians telling us this, when we don't need this. But the truth of the matter is, in our modern world, food processing and the search of profits has made the foods we get less potent, that even though we may be eating things that we consider fresh, they have been grown in ways that make that we lose out. We lose out on those vitamins and minerals. The way they are processed, the way they are kept, the way they are stored, the things that are added to them to make them look pleasing to the eye, but lacking in the value that they have. And if you doubt this, look around at what is happening. Many a person, in the case of somebody who has got diabetes, and because of that, healing doesn't happen very fast. I remember a friend of mine who had this challenge and was eating fruits in the morning, a lot of fruits at lunchtime, and he still had the challenge of not having his body having healing. So what was the problem? Now, when he came and asked me, what do you think I can do? Of course, I am not a medical staff, and I always direct people to go to a doctor. And hopefully the doctor is also has done research, because sometimes some doctors, with all due respect to them, don't do enough research. Fruits and vegetables, things that we have in our normal diet, should give us the things that help us live healthier lives for a longer time. But because of what is happening, and because of the world moving from rural settings to urban settings to housing where we have to be fed, and there are millions of people who have to get fresh food, the processing removes that. A good thing that was done then, and for people who are forward thinking, they created food supplementations, vitamins, minerals, and things that added to our diets to give us back what the body needs. Now, of course, you cannot go exclusively to vitamins and minerals only. And then you have to be careful of those companies that say, we know what you're looking for, we'll give you something, but may not have what is necessary for us. An example in point, there's a company I got involved in and I partnered with that has done a lot of research, has been around for the last 60 years, and are very particular about what they provide. What they say is what they do. Producing the supplements are scientists, a board of scientists across the world who check on what is actually the potency. One of the scientists came to our country and says, let me look at the competition, because many people are saying this is what we do. And they looked at a product called omega-3, because omega-3 is very important for breaking down cholesterol, is very good for healing. And he went into a chemist. Somebody said, we have the same at a better price. And he picked up a container that said it had omega-3. And he read it. As a scientist, he could tell. For us who are lay people, maybe we can't. And he looked and he says, he went to the chemist and says, I cannot see the ingredients. You say this product is called omega-3, but I cannot see the ingredient that it is said to have. The chemist said was very open and says it doesn't have any. But because people like it, we call it that. So when you go looking out for food supplements to bridge the gap from what we are lacking to what we have, you also have to be cognizant and be attuned to the fact that some people may take shortcuts. Look then, when you're doing your research, for a company that says is very much in tune with what's happening. They do studies based in nature, but backed by science, and they give you a product. What is it that you get if you do this and you supplement? Less incidences of diseases that we can avoid, things that can be avoidable, non-communicable things, high blood pressure, diabetes. Some of these can be avoidable. Some of the sickness you have can be helped, because when you turn to medication, they have side effects. And natural supplement, well researched, can give you back a wholesome life and avoid very serious illnesses. And this is what we do. So with time, I began to realize, and I've seen time and time again, good supplementation backed with a good diet will give you a lifestyle that will not end up in a serious illness, and save some money in your pocket also. This is what it does. Something that is based in nature and backed by science. Supplementation is important. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Daniel, for that speech. As someone with a lot of chronic illnesses, I understand what it is to have vitamins like omega-3 and vitamin C. Thank you so much. Now we move on to ask our timer if we could put the time reports for each speaker in the chat. It's time to vote for the best speaker. Please launch the poll to vote for best effort speaker. I'd like to come to the time where we will turn the meeting over to the general evaluator. So our general evaluator today is Jennifer Gosh. So Jennifer, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Madam Toastmaster Angela. Wonderful session done by you. Good evening, everybody, or good day, everybody. Hope you're all enjoying the meeting. Well, as your general evaluator today, I will be giving feedback on different parameters of the session today, starting with our speakers. So I would like to first go with our speaker, Vinod. I'd like to call upon Muhammad Asif Saiyed to please give his evaluation for Vinod's leadership speech. Muhammad Asif Saiyed, are you there? Yes.
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, today we heard from Vinod what is the importance of understanding cultural dimensions. The belief and understanding that cultural dimensions have a very deep importance and impact on our office environment, our personal life as well. Well, he elaborated on to, all the cultural dimensions are, and the two concepts of by Edgar Sness and Gert Hofstede. He elaborated this information. Very important is that understanding these dimensions is so crucial for navigating our complex, globalized world, especially implications at leadership speak as well. It's so important to understand the different cultural settings, like so that we can, glide through the various different cultural settings. This was very well brought out by Vinod. Now, Vinod, as far as the take-home message was there, it was very, very clear to me personally. And most important, where I see over here is my suggestion would be that regarding your speech construction, if that would have been onto the problem solution and urgency with your experience, and then the take-home message, it would have really added to your speech as well. For example, the slide on cultural intelligence came on the 18th minute. That was very, very late. That's my understanding. Now, with regarding to your presentation techniques, I mean, you are a very, very good storyteller. You are very, very expressive. And for example, you had voice modulation as well as your physical gestures was very, very evident. People born somewhere, so it was like the sideways, and people coming together, hands side. So it's just a kind of a collaborative approach was very well demonstrated. Now, as regarding the presentation technique, my suggestion would be regarding the use of slides. You see, your first slide came in 8th minute of the speech, and the next slide came on the 18th minute of the speech, and followed by 2 slides successively in the next 2 minutes. So since you are a very good storyteller, I feel that the slides took away or diluted that wonderful experience which we were experiencing in the first 8 minutes. So With this, the suggestion would be, to either have multiple slides, or you could maybe avoid the slides together, or it could be just the slide for 1 minute, and then you can get back to your storytelling experience. So with that, I really feel that you have covered the message very well. It shows your authority on the subject matter. It's just the construct of it in a way that you bring the urgency or the big problem which we are facing, and vis-a-vis the solution, and the proper usage of the slides would really enhance your speech. Back to you, Toastmaster. Back to you, sorry, General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. So wonderful evaluation, Asif. It was really spot on. I enjoyed everything you offered to the speaker. Vinod is lucky to have had you as an evaluator. Very precisely identified areas of improvement, and also was able to showcase all the good things that he has done. So well done to both of you. Thank you. I would now be calling upon our, just give me a minute, guys. I'm doing this role for the very first time, so I'm a bit nervous and not so prepared. All right, so I'll be calling upon our evaluator, Dr. Aswati, to please evaluate Angela, our Toastmaster of the evening. Over to you, Aswati.
Thank you. Thank you so much, General Evaluator Jennifer. So, hello everyone. I'm here to evaluate the role of Toastmaster of the day. If you all are wondering, I know there are so many guests today. So this is a project called Managing Online Audience, Online Meeting. So the TMOD's role comes under that project. So I'm here to evaluate today Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Angela Brown. So basically, Toastmaster of the day's role is not just what we see during the meeting. It is more than that. And especially in leadership speak, the role starts almost 2 weeks before the meeting, and where we fill up the roles and decide on the theme of the day and prepare the write-up. And I'm so happy to share that all these things were done perfectly well ahead of time by Toastmaster of the day, Angela Brown. And 100% of the members who were the role takers for today's meeting, they all signed up their roles on Easy Speak, and that definitely needs a big round of applause. So thank you, Angela, for following up with all the role players and filling up the Easy Speak well ahead of time. And the agenda was ready on time, and it was shared in the group. We had a separate group for all the role players to coordinate and share the details, introductions. And I love the way you introduced all the role players today, all the speakers today. It shows your preparations and the efforts you have put on that, because all the introductions, they were in line with the theme of the day. And I also loved the way you started your theme today. When you started the meeting, you spoke about the theme adaptive leadership. You shared your own experience as a president and as a coach. So that was wonderful. But here are a few suggestions which I would like to give you to improve the role, to do it in a better and impactful way. The first point is about the Zoom presence. I see that the background which you have used today, it is from our previous meeting, the first anniversary special background which we created. It would have been better if you could have used our leadership speak background, or maybe without a background also, I think. And now the background, if you see, it is cut from both the sides. It is not full complete. And also the eye contact, it was not, it was lacking at times, because you were seeing towards one direction only. Maybe you were reading the introduction. During that time, you were missing the eye contact with the audience. And also, it would have been great if you could have spoken a little bit more about the theme during the transitions, because you did not speak about the theme after the beginning part. So that was also missing. Other than that, you really handled very well when there was a missing role player, when the evaluator was missing. You did not waste any time and you were bang on time. You managed time very well. So that is really commendable. Overall, you were perfectly able to handle today's meeting, manage the online meeting in a very seamless, smooth way. So congratulations for that. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashwati. That was a spot-on evaluation. In fact, I was listening to your evaluation and thinking that these were the things that I had also observed and so very rightly pointed out. Beautifully said that she actually did a lot of work on the Leadership Speak group, and that was commendable. So hats off to you. Just a little bit, a small little suggestion for you is transitions maybe could have been better, because if you are giving your feedback, then I would have liked the transitions to be a little bit more smoother. Otherwise, fabulous job. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll go with the toast now, and I will be calling upon Sandra to please give us the evaluation for Baron's toast. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, and especially you, Baron, with your toast. What you asked me to watch for in particular, you said that a good toast should leave the audience feeling grateful and enamored of the moment they are in. I'm going to start with that because I really appreciate your passion that you bring. You're quiet, you're organized, but the passion is there. It can't be missed. Adaptive leadership. No. I liked that you had that type of conversation going on, and I like the thriving in change. We're not here just to survive. We are here for thriving in change. So I would say that if the audience was listening carefully, they would be feeling grateful and enamored to know that we can engage. Now, the part that didn't allow for capturing the audience was that I was seeing you doing a lot of reading. And as soon as somebody's reading the whole thing, their eyes are caught down in, and that allows us not to connect quite so much with the audience. So your content was wonderful. I would like to see you move away from the reading and just reach in and grab us by the heart, by the gut. That's what I would like to see. Did you capture the essence of the moment and the theme? Yes. At the very end, when it comes to raising the toast, at the end, just say, I'd like you to unmute and raise your glass. You don't need to worry about, have we got things? It doesn't matter, or what they're going to do. That explanation took away. Just raise your glass to adaptive leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, adaptive leadership. And you just do your sip. That would move it over into the completion. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Well done. Back to you, GE.
Thank you so much, Sandra. I mean, I don't have any words to express the way you gave him the evaluation. It was, as his speech was during the toast, very passionate. So was your evaluation, extremely passionate and animated. I really loved the way you gave him feedback and circled around to come back to all the good things that he has done for raising the toast. So thank you so very much. All the very best. All right, on that note, let us call upon our first speaker. Carine Baptiste's evaluator is Clemens Kambabu. Clemens, I'd like you to give your feedback and evaluation for Carine Baptiste's speech. Over to you, Clemens.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. Carine, I'm so happy that you presented such a wonderful speech. I would like to evaluate you based on the things that you said I should look out for. I would like to see if you really are tuned to these items: Zoom presence, connection with the audience, and vocal variety. You did so effectively on Zoom presence. You had a clear background and there were no distractions behind you. And you were standing, that is what I observed. You were standing and you positioned yourself so well. The clothes that you were wearing had a good contrast with the background. They were not merging in with the background. We could clearly see you. The other thing that you did so effectively was the connection with the audience. You used the story, and stories are so important because they give an emotional connection with the audience. You said, when I was 8 years old, and this implies that you were a child. And everybody has been a child before. That connects with the audience. You talked about the mother. You were talking about your mother taking you to the library. And when we talk about our mothers, that connects with us as well. You talked about students, teachers. And this story really shows that you are human just like us. And that really gave a connection with the audience. Now, the things that you could improve on, firstly, I think on the connection with the audience, you could do a little bit more. Firstly, I observed that as you were speaking, you were always like looking up. I'm not so sure whether that's where the camera was. And that really prevented a connection with us, the audience. And the second thing that I noticed was that when you spoke about the moral of the story, you started saying there are opportunities, you have to overcome your difficulties. I thought that was the opportunity for you to use the word you so much. You can overcome your difficulties. Even if you are not imaginative, think of it. Today, you can start being like this and being creative, exactly like I did. When I heard that story, I did not do this. And that's when you use a lot of you. And now you grab us, you talk to us more. So more concentration of the word you. And the other thing in terms of vocal variety, I noticed that you were generally flat most of the time. And there were opportunities where you could have used dialogue, like when you say the teacher asked me to write an imaginative story to be creative. And you could say that the teacher said, Carine, can you write an imaginative story? And then also when you say the exercise caused me to like an imaginative story, you could use your thought and say, now I like imaginative story. And also when you gave the moral of the story, there you could have used power and punch, because before that you were a bit low. And now when you come to the moral of the story, you use power and punch, use your voice. Otherwise, well done. Well done, Carine. Zoom presence, connection with the audience, improve on vocal variety, and use more connection with the audience. Back to you, Madam General.
Thank you so much, Clemens. Excellent evaluation, I must say, very well articulated about what she could have done better. Normally in Toastmasters, when we do give evaluation to the speaker, we do not say we, because you're not talking about all of us, you're talking about yourself. You're giving your opinion. So maybe you would like to use the word I felt this, I felt that, or I suggest you do this, instead of we, right? So that's my only recommendation for you, Clarence. Thank you and well done with your evaluation. Good points of view. All right, we go to our next speaker, and our next speaker is Barbara Jarvis, and her evaluator is Hannah. So Hannah, our ever-helping Hannah, I would request you to please give your evaluation for Barbara's speech. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Do you understand your leadership style? Barbara certainly understands her leadership style. Congratulations, Madam General Evaluator. After informing us about the 4 types of leadership, Barbara has shown her comfort in delivery style and identified her primary leadership style. Servant leadership is her primary leadership style, and she explained how it motivated and empowered her to fulfill her duties. To me, it was organized, analytical, and a clear opening. The message inspired me about her knowledge in explaining the 4 types of leadership and then finding her own leadership style. I would have preferred a bit more about your own leadership style. You had 6 minutes, 39 seconds. Give us a few more minutes about your own leadership style. The message persuaded me to look at or pay more attention to my leadership style. Body language and vocal variety are the dynamic duo in a speech delivery. Your vocal variety is used to bring tension into the speech using volume, pace, and pauses. The human voice is has a great range capable of producing emphasis on the speech. Barbara, your vocal variety with some pauses would have added some more impact on the speech, showing more enthusiasm on your achievements in being a servant leader. Body language also. You were standing and I noticed your hand movements communicated the belief you had in your speech, in your message. Your Zoom presence, this of course includes eye contact. There was a light reflection in your glasses, and I was unable to detect your full eye contact and the message it conveyed. And your head was a bit cut off at the top. And another thing, I usually use a plain background. My call to action from my side is you do not manage people, you lead them. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so very much. That was a great evaluation. So Hannah very nicely identified the things that I would have also told her. And my only suggestion to you is that I do not know, maybe something fell off, maybe your earphone, I'm not very sure, but after that you became a little, sort of disturbed, but nevertheless, you then came back and you gave your evaluation. I would suggest, listening to the speech like a story and then being able to give your evaluation without having to read out from a paper or anything that you've written, because that would be having the eye contact with your speaker and you will be able to give a more effective evaluation. But overall, very well done. So thank you so much for that, Hannah. And now I'd like to call upon our next evaluator. Our next evaluator is Brahmamor. He will be evaluating Sabnam, Saiyed. Brahm, the stage is yours.
Thank you. And hello, Sabnam, especially Sabnam, of course. Your speech objective was to write a speech with a purpose. And what was your intention? As I always look at, what was the intention of the speaker? What was the speaker doing? So your intention was to either inform or or persuade us about discrimination and to acknowledge how to connect with other human beings and to acknowledge the sameness besides the differences in human beings. Now, this is how you did it. You opened with a question about the emotions that we feel. Then what you did in your content was you brought in effectively Madam X and Madam Y and how you would drift to one person and eventually begin to even discriminate the other person. Further on, you went on through your content as, okay, let's acknowledge the differences. This is how, so these were the solutions. You had the problem, and then the solution is to acknowledge the differences, and then you had 3 things: ask question, be humble, and give benefit of doubt. Perfectly done, very well layered. content. Your opening and the content was very well done. However, I felt your conclusion was a bit too rushed, and you just spent a little bit more time on your conclusion, so you could improve your the way you conclude. Your Zoom presence, great lighting. You have great enthusiasm. You stood in a place where we could see you very clearly and effective. Your vocal variety was excited, energetic, and passionate. However, I would suggest that it was at the same level throughout most of the presentation. Use what I call HPL or LPH, which is, if your voice is high, try and pause and then lower it a bit for effect and for that emotion, right? To sort of grab the attention of the audience throughout your speech and to make it more effective. That's what you need. Otherwise, you are an effective speaker. I like the way you use the chat to engage the members throughout your speech. Very well done, and I look forward to your next speech. Thank you, Sabnam.
Thank you so very much, Brahma. That was a very, very well organized evaluation and picked up some very, very vital points. Thank you so much for that. I don't have anything to say to you because you are a fantastic evaluator. We all hope to learn from you. So I'll go on with my next evaluator. My next evaluator is Afton, and Afton will be evaluating Rozy Rana's speech. May I invite Afton to the podium.
Thank
Afton,
you.
the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Toastmaster Rozy, thank you for your speech. Attitude is better than altitude. It is not the inches you have, but the impact that you make. It was a pleasure discovering this funny side of you. You had a clear and delightful Zoom presence, standing with a beautiful smile at 4 feet 11 inches, with a lot of gestures, and without your faithful companion, your 6-inch heels. I found your speech entertaining, playful, and light. You kept me attuned by your self-enhancing humor, continuously making fun of yourself because of your height and labeling yourself as a midget and a VCI, vertically challenged individual. I enjoyed that you shared a story about the different challenges that your subconscious mind played on you, both in your professional and personal life. Your solution was in your personal life, you married a 6-foot partner, and in your professional life, you aimed highest for the managing director role. My takeaway from your speech was to aim for the best, no matter what we perceive as our setbacks in life. In order for you to boost the impact of humor in your speech, I would like you just to improve the structure. For example, I would like you to try to intertwine the humor in the experiences, both in your professional and your personal life. I felt as if when we got down to describing your professional experience at Oman's, that the speech became a bit more serious, and that is where the lesson was. I would have liked to hear the lesson from the beginning and then hear you nourish the lesson with the different experiences in your personal and professional life. Ultimately, thank you very much, Rozy, for your engaging speech. It is a real pleasure to discover your presentation versatility. And just by balancing off the humor in your speech, I think it will be even more impactful. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Afton. That was a very spot-on evaluation, extremely well articulated about how she could have brought in the humor part even to the central part of her message. So that was great. And I don't have any feedback as such to give you in terms of any recommendations because you spoke with passion and you were enjoying her speech even when you were speaking about it. That entire a thrill was coming out of your voice. I really enjoyed your evaluations. Thank you very much. Moving on, I would just like to say we had a meeting which started. Oh, we do have one new speaker. My mistake. Speaker number 6, Daniel Odero, and his speech evaluator is Marcella. Marcella, may I invite you to the podium to give your evaluation for that?
General, Jennifer, you have missed one more in between.
Oh, Nina's, my apologies. Give me a moment. Yeah. John, and her evaluator is Deborah Walker. So Deborah, may I invite you to the stage to give Nina's evaluation. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Nina, your speech, Want to be a Mentor. I like the title. I like that you asked the question of the audience. Gets them thinking. I'm going to focus on 4 things I felt you excelled at, 3 things that you can work on, and 2 things for you to challenge yourself. To begin with, your story was very appropriate for the audience. It was very relatable. Perfect topic for a Toastmasters audience, obviously. Secondly, you asked a few questions during your speech that I thought was really good. And in particular, you asked, are you nurturing your proteges? And for those in the club who are mentors, that's a very, very good question, because we do want to nurture our proteges. So thank you for the reminder on that. You also pointed out a variety of skills in your presentation, and the one that I liked the best was the listening skills. Quite often we think of communication as speaking, but listening is even more important in communication. And lastly, under what you excelled at is at the end, and I was listening for this, you shared the outcome. You shared the successes at the end. 3 out of 10 people became area directors. Everyone learned from each other, and they became better Toastmasters, which was the ultimate goal. You brought your story to a conclusion. Very well done. 3 things for you to work on. First is your camera presence. Right now, I am staring directly at the camera. During your presentation, it felt like you were looking down here the entire time. I don't know if you were looking at notes, but we need to see you looking up to make that eye contact with the audience to help engage them. Secondly, you were quite close to the screen. Your hand gestures were cut off and they were very, very repetitive. That's another thing that you can work on. And thirdly, is that your story lent itself very well to incorporating dialogue, which means you could include then vocal variety. So I would definitely encourage you to draw the audience in by using a story, which you did, but then adding in the dialogue to help break up the narration. Have 1 or 2 characters in your speech so that you can incorporate the vocal variety, and that will make it more engaging for the audience. 2 things to challenge yourself. The first one is, if you can, include a foundational phrase. That short phrase of 10 words or less that is rhythmic in nature, that one key thing that you want the audience to take away from your speech and remember, not only an hour later, but the next day and 3 days later. And the last thing for you to challenge yourself on is when the recording of the meeting is published, I would encourage you to go back and look at the recording, take a look at your camera presence so you can carry that forward. I will forward this evaluation to you either later today or tomorrow. Overall, good presentation and some things to work on. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so very much. That was a fantastic evaluation, Deborah. And I really loved the part where you gave 4 plus 3 plus 2. It was really beautifully done. Transitions, very smooth, very spot on, very clear as to what was good, what could have been done better, and how the speaker can challenge herself to the next level. So that was beautifully done. I do not have any recommendations as such, except that maybe the Zoom recording, I felt that maybe you could have given her that feedback about her camera presence rather than her going to see it in Zoom. Is it in fact, that would have been really lovely, because getting feedback on the Zoom presence is something wonderful for all of us, so that we can always do it. But otherwise, very spot on. Thank you very much for that. All right, and now we come to our last speaker, and the last speaker is none other than Daniel Odero, and his evaluator is Marcella. Marcella, may I invite you to give your evaluation for that?
Thank you, Madam GE. Toastmaster Daniel Odero presented a speech on body language titled From Sceptic to a Believer. Toastmaster Odero, well done. You delivered an engaging speech, and you certainly took us inward with your experience with food processing and comparing fruits and vegetables, and the importance of vitamins and natural medicines. The importance of being aware and the avoidance of, let's say, chronic diseases, for example, diabetes, high blood pressure, and the list goes on. Toastmaster Odero certainly met specific goals and expectations required for his speech. Again, I particularly loved that you stood up and delivered and you looked into the camera with newfound confidence. Your delivery was captivating. Nevertheless, there is always room for improvement. While taking in every aspect of your speech, I thought that it would have been, a good thing to show us a few pictures. I was longing to see the actual fruits, and even the bottle you spoke of, the omega-3. I really long to see, a picture of two. My imagination was just longing to see the fruits this evening. And visuals of the medicines and the vitamins which you spoke of. You had generally great eye contact, looking into the eyes of your audience, also alternating your voice, your vocal variety, certainly enhance your speech. I loved your call to action when you spoke on supplementation, how important it is, and how the importance of vitamins, and how you encourage the audience that they should be very mindful of, looking into your health and taking in something and ensuring that your health, you have great health. In summation, a well-constructed presentation. Toastmaster Odero, I truly enjoyed your speech and look forward to seeing more speeches from you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Marcella. A very, very sweet evaluation, I must say. And you did say that he met the objectives. One objective, I think, could have been done a little bit more better. You could have pointed that out, was non-verbal communication. So we would have loved to see some sort of interaction without any communication, so that it would have brought in the project objectives completely. Otherwise, a very, very lovely evaluation. Thank you so much, Marcia. And now coming to the role players, we had our Sergeant at Arms who opened the meeting, Elroy, acknowledging. I really like to acknowledge that he was very spot on in acknowledging everybody whether they could see the timer, and it's great that he was very clear with his voice and absolutely spot on while reading. While he was reading the LS, the details in the beginning, I felt there were a couple of mispronunciations. Maybe he could look at that. Our timer was very articulate in giving the timers, all the reports on the chat box. And other than that, our Zoom master, Paramjeet, he was spot on in spotlighting all of us. So thank you, Paramjeet. Thank you, our timer, for keeping meticulous time. And thank you, Surgeon Dance, for everything. And I'd like to hand it back to the Toastmaster.
Grammarian report.
All right, sorry. May I please call upon Daniel again to give us the grammarian report?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. For our grammarian report.
Can't hear you, Daniel.
For our grammarian report today, we had, first of all, was the word of the day. The word of the day was, at the beginning, everybody had seen the word and it was used well. We had some speakers. Angela, the Toastmaster of the Day, used it twice. We had Vinod, the first speaker, used it 3 times, which was well done. We had also Rozy use it twice. I used it also. And then we had in the chat, it was used quite well. Some of the very good use of English language, some of the things I liked and I picked up that we had was one from the first speaker, Vinod, who said, culture is back, is a backpack I can carry wherever I go. Nicely stated there. And then also by Carine said, if you have a difficulty, you can find a solution. A good quote over there. And one also, we had a good quote by Barbara, embodied qualities of a servant leadership. Very well done with that. We'll have, of course, which took the cup was Rozy's vertically challenged and a match made in culinary heaven. All well done. Otherwise, we had a great way of the use of the English language. And thank you for that. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for that wonderful report. And just a suggestion that maybe you'd like to also think of keeping some not so good usages of grammar and presenting it to us. And we do make a little bit of mistakes here and there. We can't be all flawless. But I would like to appreciate you for taking up 2 roles today. It is really marvelous. And really, I really loved it. And thank you. You are challenging yourself and you are just going to go shining high. So very good. Keep that up. Thank you so very much for playing with me. So now I'll hand it over to our Toastmaster of the evening. Please forgive me for any mistakes that I have made during my role as a GE. It was my first time. Please do excuse me. Thank you, everyone. Over to you all.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. We would like to see who is the best evaluator and speech of the day. Can we post that in the chat? Finally, we have the thoughts of the day. If Manju Manohar will tell us the thought of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. Competence, character, connection, and culture are critical for effective influence and leadership. We all know that, don't we? Today, I have a quote, beautiful quote by Ronald A. Heifetz. It's all about adaptive leadership. So I'm just typing that into the into the chat window, because along with the quote, I also have an assignment for you. Assignment as the thought master of the day? Oh no. Okay. Just have a look at the chat window. The quote goes this way: exercising adaptive leadership is all about giving meaning to your life beyond your own ambition. Ronald A. Heifetz. Actually, Ronald and Marty, They were the ones who actually came up with this adaptive leadership term itself at Harvard after 30 years of exhaustive leadership. So, do you have the answer for me now? In times of constant dash, adaptive leadership is critical. DTM Nina John is quite close, very close. It's with C, but it's not crisis. It is not challenges. Change. DTM Vinod got it right. In times of constant change, adaptive leadership is critical. With this, I now hand over the stage back to the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Angela. Over to you.
Thank you, Manju. Now the best speaker of the day was Rozy Rana, and the best evaluator was Afton Lee Gendre. So I thank you both for your wonderful speech and evaluation. Congratulations. And now I will turn the meeting over to the president.
Okay, kudos to Angela, and our general evaluator, Jennifer, for steering the meeting with a panache. It's very important to be adaptive in a fast-changing environment. I mean, that's where Toastmasters come into the picture. Well, what is one of the biggest reasons why people fear to be adaptive? Simply because they are, into their own comfort zone. They don't want to make changes, and because there are chances of failure as well. So Toastmasters provides us a very congenial environment where we can come and confidently practice the skill of being an adaptive, and that's one of the most important skill sets for being a leader in this fast-changing world. At Leadership Speak, every week we are dissecting and analyzing a leadership challenge, and today we had a very good understanding from our educational speaker, Vinod, and he dwelled upon the subject of the cultural dimension, which is also where we require to be, adaptive, because sometimes when you are used to or you are familiar with a kind of a culture and you may be a star in one culture and environment setting, when suddenly you are shifted into a diverse and multicultural environment, there are more chances to fail unless and until we learn to adapt to the changed circumstances. So hence, I believe that, the way our Toastmasters platform provides a very, very good, experience and exposure to become adaptive leaders. Well, it's now time to meet our guests and to understand from them what was their experience about our meeting, so that we also continually strive to adapt ourselves and from the kind of a feedback which we receive from our guests. Overall, today, our meeting was a wonderful meeting where we, at the back end stages, where there were multiple changes in roles, we adapted continuously to put up a good show and run the meeting successfully. Many, many congratulations to the winners who have been adjudged as the most improved speaker or the evaluator. And now it's time to meet our guests. With this, I adjourn the meeting. Zoom Master, kindly